This video is to help verifiers understand and confidently navigate the EDDMapS record review process. A verifier is a person or persons who have identification skills for particular taxa and are willing to verify occurrence records that are submitted to EDDMapS. Verifiers serve to identify species with which they are familiar, those which may be relevant to their interests or research, and/or nearby their geographic location. Verifiers are provided with contact information for the reporters, where possible, and are encouraged to follow up where needed to identify the reported subject. Verifiers are added to the network primarily by two ways. Some people request to become verifiers and provide information about their expertise and area of interest, and some people are recommended by other verifiers and they provide this information. We will now go over how data moves through EDDMapS. Many of these concepts will be explained in subsequent slides. Records come in from many sources, including forms on websites, smartphone apps, API, and bulk data. From there, the species of each record is evaluated for if it is on a regulated list or not. Based on each verifier's parameters, records are made available for them to review. Parameters include geographic area, if the record would be the first verified record for that species in the county, if it is included in a project, and/or the species. Verifiers can base their decision on several methods of verification, including expertise, photographs, specimens or samples, and more. The four basic decisions that can be made are approval, change species, negative, and rejected. Any decision made can be contested by an EDDMapS user, which will send the record back through the review queue. Records that are not rejected may be marked publicly available or not. A record that is not publicly available can be made so at a later date. Publicly available data goes out through data feeds, user alerts, which are emails any user can sign up for to be notified of verified records, and through value-added tools. Value-added tools includes all the maps you'll find on our distribution maps page, custom maps such as those on maps.eddmaps.org, graphs, and more. Data feeds include data going out through our API, data downloads, the recent reports RSS feed, into our data partners. Data is downloadable by species through links on the distribution maps pages, through the advanced query tools on the tools and training page, and through custom queries. This downloaded data is used by third parties in a variety of ways, including informing policy, modeling, research, data sharing, publishing as data as well as in publications, education and outreach efforts, creating and revising invasive species lists, and more. Data that comes in pre-verified from other databases or from expert sources can bypass the record review process and be entered as verified. This data is also subject to contesting, like any other data. Verifiers can decide how they want to be notified of records to review. To do so, you need to log into EDDMapS. Click on My EDDMapS at the top of the page. On the left sidebar, click on Profile and then Edit Profile. Scroll to the bottom of the page and under Email Preference, select if you wish to receive an email instantly as records that fit your parameters are uploaded, or if you wish to receive records in a digest format every 4 hours. Click Edit Profile when satisfied with your selection. You can reach records for review one of two ways. The links provided in the emails allows you to reach each record individually with the View Record link or the Review Records Online link to be taken to the Review Records page. Or you can reach the Review Records page by clicking on My EDDMapS, then click on the Admin Tools in the left sidebar, then click on Review Records. The Review Records page provides many options for filtering and searching to aid in the review process. You can filter out the records based on species type, such as insect, plant, disease, or animal, if the record would be the first in the county, if the record is the first report by a user, records that are not public, and/or only records with images. You can use the search feature to limit by species, reporter, date entered, or location. You can click on most of the field names to sort the records alphabetically or by date. The review status field notifies all the verifiers of the current status of the record based on any actions taken by verifiers. Click on the ID number of a record to review that record. In the top right corner of the page, there are a series of links relevant to records that are no longer in the review queue. View Your Recently Reviewed Records allows you to access records that you have previously reviewed. View All Recently Reviewed Records allows you to access records that have been reviewed that fit your verification parameters. View All Recently Reviewed but Not Public Records allows you to access records that fit your verification parameters that were previously reviewed but not made publicly available. View Deleted Records allows you to view records that were marked as deleted by verifiers. View Unable to be Confirmed Records allows you to access records that have been reviewed and deemed as unable to confirm. Clear Filters removes all filters applied to the Review Records table. When clicking on the View Record link on the email or the ID number from the Review Records page, you will then go to that record for individual review. You will be able to view the whole record that was submitted. This includes the species name, location, reporter information, observation date, images, and any additional information. Verifiers will be able to see any coordinates, even if marked private, anonymous reporters' names, and email addresses and phone numbers, but only during the record review process to help them review the records. Reviewer options are at the bottom of the record. Reviewer options allow you to interact with the record, the reporter, and other verifiers. View Record History Discussion allows verifiers to see any changes in status, actions, and messages. Upload Additional Images allows you to upload any images that the reporter sent to you or images that you took relevant to the record. Defer allows you to set an automatic reminder to prompt you to review the record at a later date. Request Images allows you to send a message to the reporter requesting images to be uploaded to the record. Request Sample allows you to request a sample of the subject of the record to be sent to a lab for diagnostic testing. This option is only available for certain species. Request Additional Info allows you to request additional information from the reporter that would aid in the record review process. Review and Release opens a form for you to review the record and release it to the public once submitted. Review and Don't Release opens a form for you to review the record but not release it to the public once submitted. The Record Review History Discussion option shows any status changes, messages, and more with date and time stamps. The Request Additional Images option opens a pop-up that confirms your request. Clicking Continue will trigger an email to the reporter with the request and a link for them to upload the images to their record. Once the images are added, you will be notified by email. If you have images that were either sent directly to you or ones that you acquired that are relevant to the record, you can upload them to the record with the Upload Additional Images option. Deferring allows you to set a reminder to come back to the record later to review it. You can set a date you want to receive an email with a message to yourself and a link to review the record. Request Sample is only an option for certain species or subjects. A pop-up will ask you to pick the lab and protocol you wish to use, which are geographically based. Clicking Continue will send an email to the reporter with instructions. The email contains a link to the record for the reporter's reference, as well as information about the sampling procedure. By selecting Request Additional Information, you can send a message to the reporter's email through the Review Records system asking questions relevant to the record. The message will not be recorded in the record history, but the act of requesting information will be. If the reporter replies to the email, it will be sent to your email address. Reviewing a record, regardless of the decision, removes it from the Review Records queue. The record is still accessible on the Review Records page through the Recently Reviewed Records links. Released means that the records show up on maps, in downloads, and more. Reviewed and don't release still removes the record from the review queue. Not releasing means the record does not show up on maps and is not available for downloads and other public interaction with the records. It contains options for unable to confirm and delete. The Review By field allows you to note if another person verified the record. The Verification Method field allows you to note how you verified the record. Identified By allows you to note if someone helped out in identifying the subject of the record. Identification Date allows you to note the date the subject was identified. Identification Credibility allows you to note the certainty of positive verification and otherwise change the record status. Report Source ID is an optional field for noting who may own the record or who is the source of the record. Make Private allows you to hide the exact location of the record. If the reporter already selected yes, the button will show that. Reviewer comments are private comments you can make about the record that will only be viewable to other verifiers or to the reporter if the record is marked as delete. Public comments are viewable on the record if the record is made publicly available. Click Submit when you are done reviewing the record. The verification methods include several options to let subsequent data users know how the record was verified. Reporter's expertise indicates that you have knowledge of the reporter's training and/or education and are basing the verification on that. Verifier's expertise is noting that you have enough knowledge of the subject of the record, the area, and other information to base your verification on that. Selecting the Photographs option indicates that images were used to verify the record. Selecting Specimens indicates that samples or specimens of the subject were provided to the verifier and used for verification. Selecting Voucher Specimens or Voucher Photographs indicates that specimens or photographs were collected and preserved in a herbarium or museum and evaluated. The Diagnostic Lab Sample option indicates that a sample was sent to a diagnostic lab for evaluation and identification. The other option indicates that the method used was not listed. The Reviewer Comments or Public Comments sections can be used to describe the method. The Identification Credibility options in the Review and Release path includes selections for verifying the record as positively identified with possible, credible, and verified in ascending level of certainty. It includes negative, which will change a positive record to a negative, indicating that the record is being released as a survey for the species and it was not found based on the information provided. Additionally, it includes the option to change the subject of the record if the original identification was incorrect and it can be corrected to another species. Review and Don't Release has the same options as well as Delete and Unable to Confirm. Delete removes the record from the database and the verifier must provide comment to the reporter. Unable to Confirm notes that the record cannot be confirmed as the subject reported, but you do not want to delete it at this time. Report Source is an optional field that allows you to assign the record to a category of ownership. The last options on the form include Private Status and Comments. The private status will already be set to yes if the reporter sets it as such, but you can set it to yes if you deem it appropriate to hide the exact location of the record. Reviewer Comments is an optional field that you can use to add private comments to the record or to note why a record was deleted. Public Comments is an optional field that you can use to add comments to the record which will be publicly viewable. Click Submit to finish your review. The Bulk Verify option is to be used with great caution, as you are basing your decision on much less information than when evaluating records one at a time. It is not generally recommended to use this option, but it allows you to verify several records at one time. This is primarily used to quickly review records from other verifiers and known experts, as their data is likely to be high quality. To select the data to bulk verify, click in the boxes to the left of the ID number. This will open the bulk verify form. Evaluate the information available on the page to aid in quickly verifying the records. This includes the species, observation date, location, images, which are able to be previewed by hovering the mouse cursor over the image icons, and the reporter. Click the name of the reporter to view their contact information. Click the boxes to the left of the ID number to select the records you want to bulk verify and to open the bulk verify form. Select the level of identification credibility. The only options are possible or credible, as other options are only available on the individual record verification. Report source and comments are optional to add. Select if the records should be publicly released and/or private. Click Submit when you are ready to complete your review. In the top right of the Review Records page, you can select to view recently reviewed records. You have the option to view only your recently reviewed records, or you can review all records that you are allowed to based on your verifier parameters. To view any of the records, click on their ID number. At the bottom of the records, you have the option to contest the review, which removes the reviewed status and sends the record back into the review queue. You can view records that are reviewed and not publicly available by clicking the link at the top right of the Review Records page. This allows you to quickly access records for later release. The View Deleted Records page allows you to access records that were marked for deletion. Click on the ID number to pull up the record to view it. The record will have a message at the top identifying it as deleted, and only verifiers can access these records. Verifiers can only view the records. They cannot restore the records. Only EDDMapS administrators can restore a deleted record. The View Unable to be Confirmed Records link allows you to see records that have been marked with that designation. This section allows for easy locating of records for later reevaluation. Any of these records that have been already reviewed will have different options at the bottom. Instead of Review and Release and Review and Don't Release, the options are Make Restricted and Contest Review. Make Restricted leaves the record as reviewed but makes the record not publicly available. Contest Review sends the record back to the review queue for reevaluation. For any questions about the review process, you can contact Rebecca Wallace or Chuck Bargeron at the Center for Invasive Species and Ecosystem Health.